Right, I'm going to show you exactly how to shade. It's something that you created from your imagination. So let's hop into it, okay? It's only going to take a few minutes. So we have this sketch right here. Very random sketch I ended up doing, just kind of off the cuff from my mind. And now it's partially shaded, but not fully shaded. And I'm going to show you exactly how to fully shade it. But first, I want you to understand the concepts of shading in general so that you understand this. So when I'm looking at this shape right here, the general shape is maybe something like this. It's some sort of block, a little oblong block. So the light's going to be coming from the top. It's up to you if you want it coming from behind or do you want it coming kind of from the front of it. But right now, let's just say it's the general top area. Because of that, the eye right here is going to catch a lot of value, right? The eye socket is going to be sunken in. The light's going to hit this whole surface right here, and it will not hit that portion of the eye. That's just like a decision I made. There's going to be another dark portion over here, and that's literally what I ended up doing over here. And so things below, away from the sun, are going to be dark. And I want to make this more or less two values, but we might end up, how do you say? Not just making it only two values, but we might also kind of create a, well, you'll see what I mean. We'll see with this creative value. So now let's zoom in right here, and let's make this guy at least somewhat presentable. Okay. When I'm doing this, I'm slightly carving shapes a bit right here. So there's going to be, I'm choosing to create a little bit of a bump right here. So there's going to be a little darkness because it's a bump on his lower jaw. Same thing over here. This looks like a mistake, and it was, but I'd like to kind of correct it like that. So we're pulling a little line out of it as if it's going from a larger bump, and it's slowly conforming into the rest of the lower jaw to make it a little bit more believable and presentable. The horn over here, that'll probably get a little bit of value over here from the side. And the eye, I think, should be a bit shaped differently, right? We're kind of designing a shape right here with this. I think it might be, we'll break it up just a bit here, or maybe on like this point, it's going to be a ridge kind of aiming downward, and that could help it out. At the same time, we're going over here to the lower portion of the mouth, and I'm adding a little bit of darkness. Right, the darkness is there to help out. And I want to create more depth to this guy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the other hand on the other side. So maybe over here, you can see the back side of the arm. And then he's going to have another, kind of thinking like Nosferatu hand around the back there. There we go. Over here as well. So we have that backhand over here, but let's take care of the top of him first. So there's not going to be as much, right? Meaning there's going to be a lot of darkness underneath right here. So for example, we want to connect this and this. A good way to do that is to create a liner here, dark shadow coming from that shadow pattern. A little bit of dark shadow because there tends to be the masseter in that area. Maybe one right here as well. Could be some of the muscles on the back. Created a little bit of a shadow there. And then that has to tie in a little bit over in this area. Going over here to the bicep area, he has like humanish arms, and this will probably be the chest area on this side. Okay, zoom out just a bit. Okay, cool. Underneath, especially underneath the armpit area, that's normally put some dark shapes because it's just not going to be as much light getting there. And maybe around this area, around the armpit over here, and the this is more of the latissimus dorsi over here. Over here on the stomach area, going to be dark. Line over here as well. And then over here on the bottom right here as well. See, this is the bottom of the forearm. So we have to, you don't have to. A lot of these things are decision, and they're going to be the decisions that you make that are going to make a big, difference in what the end result looks like. But if you want a little bit right there, put some over here as well. And we can like curve these little lines right here to wrap them around. I'm using a High-Tech C. It's called a Pilot High-Tech C pen. Really good sketching pen. It's probably my favorite, one of my favorite sketching pens ever. Giving a little bit of dark over here to that muscle. So essentially the larger the bump, the bigger the dark area is going to be from it, right? That's just kind of simplistic to kind of think of it that way, which is a lot of this stuff is a little bit simpler than you might think, and that's something that hopefully kind of sticks to you. You don't want to make this more complicated than it needs to be. All this creation, I created this from my mind. This is all, how do you say? Let's put a little bit of dark back here in the mouth. There you go, to make it a little bit more. So all of this is created in the sense from simplistic shapes that you or me or anybody is remixing at any given time. So towards the bottom, we want to show that this is probably going to be hair sticking out of here on this back. So I'm going to throw a little bit of line right here. I'm going to try to vary it up also. A little bit of different striations. Let me know what you want from the channel, by the way. I would love to draw what anybody requests in the channel. Or maybe talk about a drawing concept that you'd like to see. It's really, really, really fun to do those. And I love kind of hearing from anybody who's been watching for a little bit. The channel is going to be mostly dedicated to sketching, right? Like sketching your sketchbook and trying to create stuff from your mind's eye. So I'm going to dedicate it mostly to that. Throw thin lines at the top. Throwing thin lines over here in these areas. And the thin lines are meant to, again, just show off the surface of what we're looking at. You're making, like, let's say right here, this is a shoulder, right? Let's make a thicker line and a little bit of shadow coming off there, just to kind of separate that shoulder right here a bit from the torso, to make it show that it's kind of coming out there. Going back over here, and we're just curving these lines as is. Curving these lines. Right, we're drawing these little hatch marks. Next video, I will make an entire video on just generally doing cross hatching. I think that's gonna help a lot. But and you can throw in a little more striations on the throat. So big rule: a lot of these darks, you want to maybe to make them organic. Let's go over here. To make them organic, you want to like dither them off. How do you say that? Dither? You say like they need to kind of trail off if they're going to be organic. They're going to trail off into where the skin is not as folded, usually, not always, at some point. And you're going to put in some organic folding around that shape. Otherwise, it's going to look a little bit too much like tech, and we're not doing tech. So maybe something like this. And these lines right here, these scrunching lines, they're always going to kind of go off into a separate point. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind. So it already looks a little bit better, a lot better, I feel, kind of doing this. Just kind of manipulating the shapes and pushing around the shadow pattern. Like literally all I'm thinking is the shadow is going to be the bottom of the character. I could shade in this entire back right there because it's the far side arm. You know what, let's do that. Let's do it lightly though. So I'm going to be throwing lines across over here, but they're not going to be tight, right? If they're tight, it's going to be pitch black. I don't want that. I just want a bit of a change. That is all. All right. There you go. And you can keep adding to this based on maybe certain portions of like the anatomy. When I add them to the top, I'm putting just a few, but they're not connected to any dark shadow pattern here at the top. They're not connected at all, right, to shadow pattern. They're just up here showing off different areas of the form up top. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you want to see. I'm gonna be posting every single day for probably a month. I want to hear what you have to say, and I love listening to everybody's comments. So talk to you soon, okay? Talk to you tomorrow.